your men can have love for the truckie. Beautiful minds, but we love getting ugly. Risk takers with a clover, man, we love getting lucky. You run, we chase fire, I love when it ducks me. Tones go off, house watch, read the address out. 1075, get up off the magic couch. 500 gallons prepared for the baddest drought. Who else you want on the way when disaster's out? Can't even get a little bit rattled when you enter with exit apparel. Mayday, member down, they'll drag you. You won't get this from every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but here's a view from the top floor with Mickey Farrell.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of A View from the Top Floor. Today's episode, I happened to join Jeremy on the road from one of his many projects. During that time, we stopped and grabbed lunch. We hit record, and we chatted a bit about just the Generation X, growing up into the 80s, the 90s, a little bit about the fire service. Interesting episode. For those of you that are Generation X, you'll probably enjoy some of the topics we dove into, from freestyle bikes, skateboarding, hip-hop, basketball, everything that kind of created the 80s for many of us. I do have some great guests lined up in the near future. I just have to find the time to dial that in, sit down, and get those recorded. But that's all lined up, ready to go. Probably moving into, I would say, honestly, probably into the late winter, into the spring, just because I'm so busy with travel right now. So like I said, I don't know how I feel about just getting you these short episodes from the road, but right now that's all time that allows for, and I want to keep it consistent. I truly believe that consistency equals professionalism in everything we do, including getting you the right information, the right content through a podcast. Head over to the National Firefighters Training Foundation website or any of the socials. Great raffle going on. $50 to enter. There's only 200 opportunities to win. You win a choice of a Carnes leather helmet, any helmet you want from them, as well as a New York hook, a set of irons, T-shirts and stickers and swag and whatnot from any of the instructors that we're collectively teaching together this March in Fairhope. That'll be announced in the second weekend of March, the winner of that. Again, 200 spots at $50 a pop. It's probably worth about $2,000 or more. It's a great raffle for a great cause. That said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We're just kind of talking about growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and we do touch on a bit of firefighting as well. Thanks for all your support. I'm Mickey Farrell. Until next time, stay low and let it blow. Look at it.
Just one fucking 100%. But Paige loves the 90s, bro. Like, she's all about the fucking 90s. It's cool.
Funny how it's like, with us, we love the 80s, they love the 90s, and it just goes back a generation.
It's just like, we were talking about it the other night, and somebody said, like, you guys like rap. My kids are like, no. Like, we don't get into it. And then somebody said, like, hip. Who were we talking to? It was somebody not from around here. Oh, it was a film crew that was in town the other day. They were like, oh, what about, like, hip-hop? Like, were you into hip-hop? Nah. And I was like, not really. It wasn't really my thing. Like, Beastie Boys is as like far as I went. And then my kids are like, yeah, we don't really get into that either. But there was a huge scene here growing up. I go late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s. Yeah, that's it.
Started in Cedar Park in the Bronx,
Right?
right next to 59 Truck.
I said Brooklyn. It started in the Bronx?
Pop started in the Bronx.
With who? Like who? What? Like what were the?
DJ Kool Herc, KRS-One, that whole crew. You don't know this whole story?
No.
Oh, man. Right next to 59 Truck was a park, Cedar Park. Sedgwick and Cedar. So they renamed Sedgwick Ave.
Sedgwick Ave was always, yes, I recognize
So
that.
Sedgwick Ave now,
Right.
we have a sign that says Hip Hop Boulevard. It's awesome.
That is cool.
So when I was in 59 Truck, I would be on the watch, and there'd be like a tourist outside giving a hip hop tour of New York City, and it started there in Cedar
No
Park.
way.
So what happened was on Sedgwick Ave, they had a party one night, and they gave out all these flyers and it was the party. There was a power outage that night. So it was really hot. Summer night, it was hot. So everyone out of here, no power, it's super hot. They all go to Cedar Park, and they wire the lamppost, hook up the TJs, and they were scratching. And that's where the birthplace of hip hop started.
No shit. I had no idea. That's pretty cool. That's right down the road from the firehouse?
Right next door. Firehouse is here. Parker's here. It actually touches it.
That's pretty cool.
It is very.
What was that? Mid 80s? Like
Uh,
86, 80?
no, 70s.
Oh, 70s? Well, how did you, like, you love hip hop. Like, all your posts that you do, your music is always, people always comment.
Yeah, because I think it was a unique group of people that liked that era of hip hop. It was still very underground in the urban community, and then it kind of just spilled out to the suburbs of New York City.
Right.
And I was a huge basketball head, so it was like hip hop and basketball went hand in hand. Skateboarding, hip hop, hand in hand.
Skateboarder?
Skateboarding saved me,
Really?
kept me out of trouble.
Kept you out of trouble.
Kept me out of. Got a lot of people in trouble. For me, I was so like in love with skateboarding. Like I was into skateboarding. I didn't necessarily love like the parties that came with it all. I was into the culture of skateboarding, like street skating, up all night with your friends skating. It was a way to express yourself in case they couldn't really express themselves. But it was a group of kids that would go out and they would skate all night, and you only cared about skating. Then there was other kids who liked skating.
This is before the fire department, right?
The fire department was always hand in hand.
Yeah, but I'm talking like 14, 15 years old type thing, or is this later in life?
My whole life. My dad skateboarded.
Really?
My dad had this old skateboard, right? A wooden skateboard.
Banana board?
Not even wooden skateboard with clay wheels on it.
Really?
Clay roller skateboards. And he was skating down this big hill one day, and my grandfather was coming home from the firehouse, driving right behind him. Just get in the fucking car. You're done. Took my dad's skateboard. He bombed down this hill, you know. My dad was a kid back then.
No
you know?
way.
That was my first skateboard. Was that skateboard? I still have it on my mantle at home.
It's pretty cool.
My first real board for myself was a board called Anstey. I got it it was like a Nash shitty board. I got it at Kmart or whatever, you know. And my first real skateboard, I'll never forget, was a Santa Cruz Rob Rostad with gull-wing trucks and slime balls. The artwork behind skateboarding that's a whole art in itself, which is awesome.
Right.
So I have a coffee table book that is all the artwork and the history of skateboarding art, which is pretty cool.
Well, it was such a movement, right? Like it was much more than just a bunch of kids thrashing on a skateboard. It was like the music, the look, the clothing, the graffiti, the urban-esque type approach to it, right? It was really a movement. And then you were a shore kid, right? So I got to think that parlayed down to the beach too, no?
I started surfing later in life. I always wanted to surf,
Yeah.
but skateboarding always was present. So even snowboarding, my friends were into snowboarding. So I wouldn't go to the mountain. What I would do, I'd go down to the local park and I would shovel the basketball court.
I can't believe you're talking about this. Keep going.
And I would shoot hoops and I would skate. Shoot hoops, skate. My friends were on the mountain. Eventually, I tried it, hated it, went back to skateboarding. This is before we really had any outlets for indoor skate parks. But Newburgh, New York had this indoor skate park. It was the shittiest neighborhood. And I didn't have my license, but I would bum rides off anyone to get up there and skate there. And they would have bands playing and shit. That took from like
I know exactly. Paige's boyfriend just went there not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was still there.
Yeah, please.
I didn't know it was still there.
Well, so Paige was like, hey, can I drive up to Newburgh? Tristan and his buddies want to go skate because they go to skate parks all the time.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not crazy about it. Now she's 18, so it's legal. She was 17 at the time, so you're not allowed to drive out of state.
But it was illegal back in the day, skateboarding. We used to run from the cops.
The signs, right? No skateboarding and shit. Yeah.
Skateboarding is not a crime.
I remember those films back in high school, the underground before Jackass, because that's where all that came from.
Yeah.
It was those underground skateboarding videos where they're all doing practical jokes and skating away from the cops and grabbing their boards and running from security.
Yeah.
We grew up on that shit.
Yeah. So that original, I don't know what company put it out. Ben was on it. It was all jokes, which eventually became Jackass.
Yeah. But that's where it all stemmed from. It was that skateboarding culture.
But that whole culture of, it's interesting how it went from hip hop to punk rock.
Right.
I think that was pretty much where you lived, maybe. Like New York City had underground punk rock core skateboarding as well, but I think it was more hip hop influence. Where you get out into the suburbs, more of a punk rock influence. It was anything that was breaking free of the norm. That's what was so special about it, because you were
breaking free of the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was also though you were part of a crew.
Yep.
Family. But yet we could all express ourselves individually in that crew. Kids that didn't really go with team sports, it was a great way for them to be part of a team.
Yeah.
Be individuals.
I just watched the other day on, God, I don't even know what channel it was on, urban snowboarding. When you were saying when all your friends went to the mountain and you had grabbed your shovel and like shoveled off the mountain, I thought you were going to talk about snowboarding around town.
We've done that.
This is wild. It was like urban snowboarding, and they have generators with a winch on it, so it like pulls them, and they don't need hills anymore. I watched literally the other morning. I was like super lazy. It was over the weekend or something. I laid in bed and put the TV on. I never do that. And it was like this urban snowboarding. It was just all these guys making like over roofs and obstacles and stairwells, but they pull themselves on a winch and it propels them forward so they can navigate whatever they want in an urban setting.
It's great.
Super cool.
I think it's funny how West Coast skating is so different than East Coast skating. It always has been, always will be. West Coast firefighting, very different than East Coast firefighting. Always been different, always going to be different. And I think why a lot of like skateboarders are firemen. And those guys usually gravitate to the truck because it's kind of like the same concept where you're a team, but we're individuals within that team. You get to express yourself very differently in fire. I truly believe that skateboarding parallels truck work almost identically in the fact where it is so creative and you get lost in this whole type A, hoorah personality of firefighting. And really, if you take a step back and look at certain things, it's so incredibly creative and individual, the sense of what you're doing in that moment. Engine work, a little different, more company integrity, teamwork, but there is an art to stretching. There's an art to an ollie. There's an art to a kickflip. There's an art to pulling a ceiling. So it all comes down to the art form of the passionate things you love in life.
There's also the other thing too, the grit that comes with it, right? Like you fall down when you're trying to perfect a skateboarding trick. You keep falling, scrape your knees, bang your elbows, right? What do? You get back up and you go again.
Yeah.
And you go again. When we were kids, nobody wore helmets. You didn't wear helmet, knee pads, elbow pads. You didn't wear any of that shit.
West Coast guys wore that. No, I'm kidding.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember learning to ride my bike and my dad being like holding onto the back of the seat, running along with me and then letting me go.
Remember that moment? Like
And you crash. Mine wasn't a glorious takeoff. And look at me. No, I fucking hit a mailbox, bro.
Did you?
Yeah. And I got up and I walked home and left my bike there yelling at my father at 8 years old, 6 years old, whatever I was, and pouted and walked home. He's like, you got to get back on and do it again. Like that is such a lesson today that I'm teaching my daughter, my last daughter, how to drive. Lily's got her permit. When she screws up, I give her a little bit of sauce, you know, because could have crashed, could have hit something. You didn't stop. You didn't look both ways, whatever it was. Do you bounce back from that or you just park the car and be like, I'm done. I don't. Yeah. We got to teach this resiliency. Like when you fall down, you need to get back up. You're going to get kicked in the teeth. You're going to get humbled. What do you do with it?
I think we're demonizing all these reasons why. The reasons why is kids aren't getting punched in the face anymore.
Yeah.
We've talked about that in the past.
Oh, 100%. Best thing you can do is get punched in the face on a playground. I used to get in fights all the time in grade school. Every recess, man.
Can you imagine with this going right here? If you were allowed to get punched in the face to it?
For the shit that people say. And,
half those accounts wouldn't be out there right now.
Yeah, because they buckle as soon as you confront them, even just in written word, they back down. It's wild. But there's no accountability anymore. Nobody has to own their shit anymore, and then they hide behind fake accounts or bullshit. And that's the funny thing is like, me, I don't hide. Here I am. Like, love it or hate it. I don't care.
We're just talking about this. Transparency is the avenue to success. If you're transparent about everything and you're upfront about and honest, even about your shortcomings, you will always win.
Yeah.
They can't take that from you.
But I also think, too,
honesty factor. So
I think the other part of it to take it just a little bit further. It's one thing to own whatever your points of view are, and it's take ownership of who you are and how you present it. There's also a part of that where you know when to strap the filter on too, and know that you do have something to say. You just don't need to say it.
Yeah.
Like some people will be like, I own my shit. I put myself out there. I'll tell you what I think, and I'm like, doesn't always need to happen that way either, right? I think it's called like part of humility is understanding how far you need to go versus how far you'd like to go.
And I think when you get to that point where you like to go there, this correct solution is, I always say, let your tools do the talking.
Yeah, I love that.
You don't have to
You
say.
know I love that.
Yeah. But you don't have to say what you're thinking. You just pivot and counteract and do it. And it shows exactly
There's so much to that. There's so much to that. I was a young fireman. I had a big mouth. I was a young officer. I had a big mouth. Thought I solve every problem. I knew everything. Today, totally different. It comes with maturity and time and trusting the process. And you literally have to let your presence and your work speak for you. Some of the biggest and strongest personalities on the fireground never say anything.
That's the problem with where we are today as far as educators in the fire service. The best educators aren't doing it. There's average ones that are stepping into those roles because their opportunity is there. Those guys, as long as they're doing it internally within their firehouse, their fire department, that's good enough. But please step into that role. Right?
The very best of the fire service, you don't know what their names are.
Absolutely.
And that's in every single job, in almost every single firehouse. There are people that they are the ones that are following through, molding, shaping, mentoring. They're the ones that have the experience and the pedigree to be speaking and teaching. They just are frustrated with the system. If you could imagine for 1 second, if we could take social media and get rid of all the bullshit that comes with it, you would have some of the very best that you've never heard from before. They'd probably be willing to put themselves out there just a little bit more. But those guys, the true ones that I look up to, those are names that nobody knows. Because they're not willing to put it out there because they just don't want to. They don't want to deal with it. If we had a place where they could and they were allowed to, think about how much further along and how much better we'd be.
You just said to me, We were eating lunch. You said to me, I can't believe you stuck with this. You thought you'd be done with this a long time ago. And the only reason why I have stuck with it is because those individuals that you were speaking of, the ones that are the best firefighters,
Guys in the shadows, man.
They're the ones that are they're motivating me and say, brother, you're doing the right thing. Because you're passing on the right message from what we know and what we come up with through our careers doing this. They don't want the opportunity to do it. They don't want to be that guy, but they're the ones pushing me, saying it's okay what you're doing. Keep doing it. And that's all I need to hear, that it's okay. I'll keep doing it. Once I hear it's not okay, well, then it's done. That's ultimately what makes a difference, and what that matters to me the most is what those firemen truly think. And again, everyone's like, oh, I don't give a fuck what you think of me. I don't buy that.
Everybody does.
I have a group of
Everybody
guys
does.
that I really, really care what they
Yes.
think. Once they tell me something, I always pivot and change what I'm doing because they're my board of directors.
I always think about this too, right? Those guys, the ones in the shadows that have so much to offer, they just do it in their own locale, their own companies, their own department. I think about like a lot of the nonsense and bullshit that comes across social media. Would those guys waste their time leaving a comment, or do they just go past it? And they just go past it. It's not worth their time. You're not making an impact. When you leave a negative comment or you want to engage or antagonize, you're doing that for yourself. That's it. And the guys that I want to run with are the ones that know what bullshit is. They don't waste their time with it. They just move on. It's the same thing that you and I talk about. Shitty firehouses have shitty people. Good firehouses, they don't have shitty people.
And if they are, they don't last long.
They get weeded out. They don't stay. There's a lot to that. I'm trying to emulate myself more and more. I've really gotten to understand the people that I want to be more like. And for me, that's the influence that I need. I'm on social media all the time. I scroll through and I see something I disagree with. I'm not wasting my time leaving a snarky comment. I'm just moving on. Like, I don't care. Social media has the highs and lows. It's got the good and the bad. I don't care about the bad. I want the good, man. And I personally think, too, that if you put yourself in a position, put yourself on that level, it's not healthy for you either.
No, you're right.
You're in a bad headspace, man.
I catch myself seeing things.
I'm guilty, too. Don't get me
start to
wrong.
write something,
But I don't do it anymore.
You delete it.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate, I think it's good to have controversy within social media, where if I post
I
something
don't disagree.
and someone doesn't agree with it, well, let's have a conversation. So I'll learn something too, and then we can communicate, we'll talk, and move forward. But that's hard to do.
It's not about anything more than your own gut or feelings, and that's what really clouds a lot of the judgment, I think. But I look at it this way: whether I leave the comment or somebody else will, I'm going to let somebody else do it. I'll just sit there and watch the train wreck happen.
Yeah. Yeah, like the whole work-life balance thing, and I'm only breaking this up because Gary Vee.
You're brave, bro. You're brave.
Who thinks that they're on that level to talk about what that really is? Like, who is the work-life balance genie? Who are they to say what balance is right for what person and what profession? It doesn't exist. So, and then he just said this is good. He goes, I'm fairly certain that your parents made work-life balance decisions that didn't include you. They went the other way on the work side of things, and you don't fucking remember, because they were just trying to provide. And with that, they're watching you show them how to live, how to create, how to earn. That's the balance. So there is a learning side of this. You don't have to make every game. You want to make every game, but the games that you miss because you're pushing yourself harder to earn money, there's still a lesson within that.
100%. I mean, I grew up in a house where my father ran a family business. He was MIA 6 days a week, and Sundays he was home, but he missed a ton of games and practices. He doesn't, he couldn't make all the concerts or school events. And I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's what he had to do to provide for us. And I'm grateful for that. And when I look back at my father and his dedication to his family, I don't judge him I look at him as a hero, not that guy wasn't around. My mother provided for us. She was home. She took care of us. My father's work ethic is what I think I got from him.
Yeah.
And would he have loved taking more days off? Would he have loved to come see his sons play different sports? Of course. He couldn't. Now today, it's like we have parents that go to every single practice, every single tutoring event, every single school. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's wonderful if you can do it. The problem is this, though. You choose to go that route, you don't get to complain about the other side then either.
And let's be honest, how many people are choosing the balance and not stepping into the role of being with their kids 110%?
Right. Anybody can be home at 5 o'clock. Are you invested? Are you involved?
Yeah. Are you on your phone scrolling,
Right.
leaving comments?
100%.
The guys that are at work.
Are you leaving National Fire Radio, nasty comment? There's
It's a
so
funny
much.
conversation just to have.
It is, but I think it hits with so many. And, ultimately for us, like, I don't know what balance is. Some days it's 30%, some days it's 70%. 70-30, 60-40, it's never 50-50.
Yeah.
And that goes with a marriage, that goes with your relationship with your children. Sometimes you're taking, sometimes you're giving. There's no magical equation for it. It's what feels right today. Today, it's all me today. All day long, I've been doing stuff that I needed to do, right? Work, couple beers, conversation. We're going to check something out. Later, I'm home. When you're home, are you engaged or are you not engaged?
That's something I have to work on. I know I do. When I am home.
We all have
Yeah.
work to do. We all do. But at least you recognize it.
No, I do, and I struggle with it. And I think that if you're not struggling with it, maybe your head's not in the right place. Because for me, I'm always thinking about not so much earning, but just hustling. What's next? And sometimes it's hard to step away and see, no, it's the present moment that matters. And I know that. I'm not saying it doesn't. But when you truly, truly love it and passionate about something, it's always looking at what progressing forward.
I had a great conversation. I had all my kids together. My wife's grandmother passed away last week. We had a funeral and everything this week. And all the kids, the whole family was together. But it was nice to have all my kids under one roof again, too. My son got married. My older daughter doesn't live home. And then my two younger daughters live home still. We had everybody together. And all the laughter and stories and everything we talked about were events and moments, not physical shit. What I took away from that when I was talking to Terry at night after everything was said and done, I said the beautiful thing about that is it's the moments that matter. All the other shit doesn't matter. My kids that night, we sat for hours laughing and telling stories. And it all had to do with the trip to Florida, the trip here, going down to the beach, Thanksgiving, Christmas morning, breakfast, dinners. Those are the moments that matter. That's when you're present. They don't remember all the other shit. They don't care about what skateboard they got. I mean, you might remember your first skateboard.
I do.
But it
Every
doesn't.
second of skateboarding.
But that doesn't trump the memories you have with your father.
No. And my dad, like you, owned the business.
Yeah.
Around the corner from the house, he was there 7 days a week.
Right.
I knew if I had to get something out of my dad, I have to go to the store too.
Go to the store.
But like, my work ethic today is because of that. And
Me
because
too.
of that, my family is fed and they have a place to live and they have the things they need and
So
want.
important. It's a funny thing, right? We were sitting here before and we were talking about our age. I just turned 48, right? You're close behind me.
Yeah.
And the thing is like we said, our fathers, when they were our age, they were so very different. We're so young at this age compared to what they were. Still feel like a kid. I mean, I'm doing a beer, having a great conversation. My dad didn't do this. You know what I mean? Like, he was working. So I like that, right? I like that we're younger and feeling younger. And, I think all of that is just super important. So time changes. Evolution changes. It all changes.
Do you ever think that like what we're doing right now, recording this and having a beer, it's almost immature sometimes? Thinking about that we're almost 50 years old and our fathers were not doing this. They were out earning bloody knuckle. We do that as well.
Who's the judge?
I don't know. I just, like you said, it's time evolves. Things change. Technology changes. Sometimes it's just like we are almost 50 years old. It's crazy to think that I still feel like I'm 25 years old.
I do. Until tomorrow morning when I wake up and go, Jesus,
Yeah.
the hell did I do last night? I think I look at like how I value my friends. I'm at 48 years old, my friend group has never been smaller, and I'm grateful for that. There are a handful of people that I value more than I've ever valued anybody before. It's because I've been able to build such strong relationships on top of that. I still have a massive net that of friends and people and, acquaintances and all that shit. But there's just that, for those few people that get you through that day when you do need that pickup or just a quick phone call or a quick laugh or share a beer, right? That shit, I don't know if my father ever had that. That's, I think, a big difference. My father had his buddies at Monday night at the firehouse after training,
Yeah.
at the volunteer firehouse. They were playing cards and drinking till 3 a.m. And that was his night with his buddies. But I don't ever remember me knowing his friends like my kids know mine.
Yeah, I can see that. So my dad just lost his best friend. He was like a second father in a sense where I've known him my entire life. And it's hard to watch. I lost my best friend at a very young age. My dad's in his 70s. He lost his best friend now. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of trippy to watch like this all unfold. Not that it's unfolding, it just, I can't imagine what he's thinking,
Right.
right? Like losing that core friend,
Mhm.
like in his 70s. So we were going through some of the photos, getting ready, for them service or whatnot. And looking at the photos, I was like, how old are you in this picture? Because I think I was like 37, I'm like,
They looked like 60, right?
not even that though. It was
I
like
know.
they were doing like old man things.
Yes.
And that's where I'm thinking, shit, I'm 50 years old on Instagram scrolling, like, what am I doing? It's just different generation, man. I guess the generation always before us, I think it's stronger, more resilient. It's just the way. And I think that coming into the next generation that's going to backfill the fire service with us moving on eventually is different. It's different things, different technology.
But I don't know what's right or wrong. It's just where we are today.
Well, there's so much negativity on Instagram, on social media, everywhere about the fire service. Negative, negative, negative. We have to flex the positive because there's so much positivity as well.
You know where I stand on
Yeah.
that.
There's so much positivity. It's so easy to talk to negative, though. How many times do you get together with a group of friends and the first thing is you start talking shit? I hate that. I hate talking shit. It's hard to get out of that routine sometimes because it's so easy to communicate together and become one unit. If you find something we're all against. Yes, fuck
Yeah,
that.
but
You
this is why I'm where I am today. Is because the guys that I've chosen to surround myself with, we talk about business, we talk about life, we talk about strategies, we talk about good things. I love getting together with all my guys that are firemen like you, and we're not even talking about
We
firefighting.
never talk.
That is to me is like one of the great signs of I have so much more in common with you than just riding on a fire truck.
Yeah. And that's what's unique about the kitchen table. Everyone talks about the kitchen table, but it really comes down to the personalities at that table. And that's what's important. Putting the phone down and being in that moment and letting the senior guy tell the same story over and over.
Yeah, I love that.
Because
Yep, I say it all the time.
like last week he told the story, the fire was out 2 windows. This week
Bro,
it's out
you're
3
stealing my
windows.
shit. This is what I
You must
talk
have sat in
about.
my class.
Stealing my stuff.
I don't know about that.
I say that all the time. It's built in my class. Do you say that too?
It's in my class too.
Get out of here.
Top 10 things I wish I could tell myself as a probie. Number 7, be present. On the rig,
Yeah.
in training, but most importantly, at the kitchen table. Because that senior guy that tells the same story over and over and over, eventually he's not going to be there.
The story always gets better every time you
Yeah.
tell it. I say it all the time.
Well, like mine. I've never seen your class.
That's hilarious. Really? You've never seen my class? I don't blame it. It's not very good. But that's funny. You and I have, you know what? It doesn't surprise me that there's some parallels. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, I mean, that's how we met through parallels, I think.
Yeah. I wasn't a big skateboard guy, though.
No, that wasn't being lacrosse.
I had my GT Performer, man.
Yeah, but pink or blue?
It was pink and blue.
Pink and blue.
Both colors. Wait till you see it. I had it redone.
You still have it?
Oh, I didn't tell you this?
No.
I took it to the bike shop last summer. They spent like
Get outta here.
I spent like $600 on getting it all worked up. I have it.
Oh my God. You got a picture of it?
Yeah, I gotta find it though. Yeah, I'll find it.
So was Rad your favorite movie?
No, but it's very good.
That was the ultimate homesick. It was Rad and Thrashing for me.
Here we go. I got it.
Where did you find this? Was that at your parents' house?
Yeah, it's been hanging up in their basement since I was a kid. You've never seen this photo. I can't believe I didn't share this with you.
That bike's probably worth $3,000 right now.
Nah, they told me it's like worth like $2,000.
Oh shit! You need some new grips on there, bro.
They just redid the whole bike. This is before the tires are all flat and shit.
Gotta get better than that. Fucking dope.
Killer.
You ride it?
Yeah. I'm letting Paige like ride it now, but yeah, I had it reworked.
Love it.
All new brakes, all the brakes. Look, the pads are gone, everything's gone, the tires are off.
Got the pegs on there.
Oh yeah, front and rear pegs, full gyro up front.
That's gyro.
Yeah, man.
Custom grips.
Hell yeah.
Now, could you actually do the freestyle though?
Yes, I was never great.
What was your best move?
I can spin the handlebars like back in the pegs, wheelie, handlebar. But I couldn't, I wasn't good at like cross leg or anything like that. Like I'd fall my ass all the time. And so I had that for years, man. Years. That was a custom. My mom, she's like, I wanted that bike for my birthday. I had to custom order the colors and shit.
Well, that's a unique colors.
Very unique.
Because it was either pink or blue. You have a both.
Yeah. Literally just saw that GT Performer stopped building bikes. I just saw a meme or something on an 80s page or 90s page. Literally today or yesterday, it said they stopped making bikes last year, 2024.
So Andrew Wilkow, he's like a political guy. I've seen him at the bar and stuff a few times. Super cool guy. But he's into like old punk rock, Misfits and stuff. He just posted the other day, I saw him. He's redoing an old Redline in his comments. This guy's gonna have millions of followers.
Right.
It's like, anyone had to get brake dust off an old Redline mag, you know, and then a
Wow.
picture of it. And other people chimed in. It was pretty funny though. They had to get the old brake dust. It's cool, man. Those bikes are worth a lot of money when you start looking.
This thing is cool. It's cool. It was hanging in my parents' basement. Every time I go to my parents' house and like help them with something, it was always just hanging from the rafters in the laundry room, you know, the unfinished part of the basement. And it was just been there forever. Paige has been going to the skate park for like 2 years with her boyfriend and friends. I was like, you should get my bike. Like, let's get my bike fixed. It's like, are you serious? Like, yeah, man, let's go.
It's freestyle still. They ain't no bikes.
I don't know.
Remember the
I don't know. I don't know.
Remember the closing scene in Rad?
Oh, yeah, they were jamming out. Was it they were all together like in the park? Where were they?
Well, like the credits, when the credits are rolling,
Oh,
they're just like a runway or something.
yes.
And if they're all doing this thing in the beginning, it's like a half pipe.
What else was cool about that time was like breakdancing and like, you know what I'm saying though? It's like how to express yourself.
Yeah.
The kids could find a way that really would allowed them to like.
It was so basic too. Cardboard,
So innocent.
like the
It's-
beginning of Thrashing. You know the movie Thrashing?
Jesus, I do, but I don't. Like I know what you're talking about.
When
But
Corey skates into the daggers area
oh my God, you're ridiculous.
and they're breaking, and one of the daggers says, he goes, "Breaking's dead."
When's the last time you saw that?
I would say I watch those
well-
two movies at least monthly.
Yeah, it's probably been like 30 years for me. Okay.
I watch it monthly.
All right.
Red Dawn as well.
The original Red Dawn. Oh, killer. Love it. I wish it happened. Would love to live in Montana and like, yeah, man.
I think we're at possible opportunity of that happening someday, man. The way things are going.
Yeah, the way things are going. All right, we're gonna wrap. We're gonna roll.
All right, man. Go.